Hello, internets. So this is actually take 7 of this video. A couple of times is because my video recorder kind of crashed on me. Oops. But I'm also I made a couple of boo-boos in the previous attempts, and that happens. So what I'm going to show you today is how to run window in batch mode, which is kind of what's on the screen right here, where we've got this thing. So what I'm doing is I'm actually animating something. I'm 40 frames into it out of 720. That's not terrible amount of time to restart. So I'm gonna close this out. You do Control C to kill these things. That's actually the term, kill. So yeah, this is running through batch mode or command prompt mode, command line mode. All basically names for the same thing. So why is that superior to running it the normal way? Well, first off, you can double click on a Blender file and it will load it up. And it did. I double clicked on it, but I've got multi-monitors and it's opening up on a different monitor. And I'll just pop that over when it's done opening it up. It takes its sweet time though. So Win Shift Move, and this is the file that I'm running. This is how most people are familiar with running Blender. You open up a Blender file. You've got your scene set up. You're looking through the camera. So my camera is this little thing right over here. Control 0 to pop back into the camera. You got it set up, and you want to get it running and get it going. Great. Problem is, if you've got a lot of stuff going on in the scene, you can crash your Blender viewport, and then you have to start everything and hope that you don't crash it again. And what happens if you can't get your animation out because it keeps crashing? That's a bad thing. I've got a lot of stuff going on here. I've got this whole city set up, and then I've got background hills with a lot of particles, and then I also have a Raleigh scattering thing to give the background hills sort of a bluish tinge, which happens in real life. So how can we run this? I'm glad I restarted this because I just realized my hills, there's a little gap over here, so I'm just going to drop them down a little bit. There. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and save the thing. If you find that your project keeps crashing on you and your viewport keeps crashing on you, can't make progress, then batch mode might be the answer for you. And basically batch mode is how people used to run computers, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Let's talk about what we should do before then. First thing you should do, make sure you're in GPU compute. That was actually a boo-boo I realized I made in a previous thing, is I actually left this on CPU compute instead of GPU compute, and it ran 5 times faster when I did that. Also, you should make sure you've got your persistent data on, so that what happens is it loads all of the data in on the first frame and then keeps that animation that data running, and then or keeps that data in memory, and then doesn't need to load that in on the fly every single frame. And then the other thing you should do is look at your output. You should set an output file. So here I'm rendering this to FFmpeg video. You can do whatever you want with this. But you tell it where you want to put the output file. The other things you should take note of is the start and end times for your animation, and what version of Blender. That's actually one of the boo-boos I made in a previous iteration of this video. Okay, I've got a little asterisk up here, so I'm just going to make sure I save this, and then I'm gonna close this out. Okay, because we don't we don't actually want Blender running while we're doing this. The whole point is to show how to do an animation with Blender without actually having Blender up and running. Okay, so I'm going to close this out, and then what I do is I keep a file where I have a bunch of command prompts that that I have. I basically just save the command prompts, save the command that we're typing in. And the reason why I do that is so that I don't accidentally type in Blender or some junk like that, like Blender, and have to go back and pull my hair out trying to figure out where the heck that is, where the heck I made the mistake. So basically, what I do is I keep these sort of commands in the background. Okay, just saved, and I'll explain what all this hieroglyphics means. Okay, so first off, command prompt. What is it? It's this thing, the thing that says command prompt. This comes on every Windows machine, and this used to be how everybody used their computers back in the 80s. Before we had all this, mouse and click on this and click on that. It's also frequently what you see when you're doing watching a movie and they need to have some computer thing going on, and they don't actually want to bother like creating an actual computer program to show something on the background. They just have something running on like essentially a command prompt. Anyway, so usually it's just like C++ code that they've clipped from somewhere and just jumped in or just put in there. But anyway, so command prompts. This is there are a couple of commands that people used to use to navigate around these things. Now we can actually run one of these programs right here and right now, and that'd be great. Basically, you can highlight that. You can either do Control copy, or in modern Windows, I'm running Windows 11. Thanks, computer, for completely making a liar out of me. You can highlight something and then right-click. Why is it doing that? Control C. We'll see if that'll work. There we go. And then you can actually just right-click in the window, and it'll do a Control V on you. Anyway, so by the way, that city visit thing that's actually the file that I want to run. And I'll show you how to figure that out in a second. Now this you can run. This used to be how you would run programs on any computer. Like you can actually just run this right here. You can come over here and you can open up a Blender file, and again open it up on a different monitor, which somehow slightly overlap this one, and it just pops Blender up. But the whole purpose of this video is to show you how to run Blender without actually having Blender up and running. So let's go ahead and actually modify this command so that we can actually run the proper Blender. So first thing I'm going to do is, you'll notice this says Blender 4.2. I don't want Blender 4.2. I want Blender 4.4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to CD up one directory. CD means change directory. By the way, if you're running this on Linux or Mac or Unix-based operating system, a lot of the commands are the same. CD will do the same thing. This command line is exactly the same thing. You just run it in what's called a terminal instead of a command prompt, and instead of highlighting something and then using the right mouse click, you can use the middle mouse click. Because Windows actually stole that feature from the Unix Linux world, Unix Linux Mac world, and they made it the right click because they've got to be different for some reason. Anyway. What I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm running, I know where the right Blender is. Okay, so I'm going to CD into Program Files, and then CD into Blender Foundation, if I can type properly, and then I'm going to dir, and I just want to make sure that it's like not 4.4a or something like that. So Blender 4.4, that's fine. Anyway, we're going to go back to that. Nope. Oh, by the way, up, when you're in the program thing, allows you to revisit previous things, and tab will do some autocompletes in there. But let me just do the right mouse click. So what does all this junk mean? First off, this first bit right here is the program you want to run. We want to run Blender, yeah? -B says, hey, run this Blender file. Okay. Now I'm going to change that Blender file. I want to open this one. We'll change that in a second. But when you double click on a file and have it open up something, somewhere in the background, what it does is it looks up the Blender that you have installed in your machine and which one is the default Blender. And then it says we're going to run that one. And then we're going to do -B and then that file that you clicked on that. And that's done for you behind the scenes. So, yeah. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to do start frame 1 and end frame 720. That's what we saw in that Blender file when I had it open. Was the beginning and end frames. And then -A. -A means animate, means do not open up a window in Blender, instead animate it in the background. Basically that means render animation, right? Instead of opening up the Blender, because that's what happened when I just had said Blender beforehand. Now, Blender 4.4 is what we should have here. I'm not going to open it up with Blender 4.4. I'm going to open it up with Blender 4.2 because that's a boo-boo, and it's still helpful to see what the boo-boos actually are. Okay, so here I'm just going to say City Vista Sunset. If I can type properly, because that's the Blender file that I want to open. That's this guy right here. Oh, .blend. Doi. Let's not make sure we don't make any silly mistakes. We can actually resize this if we need to. By the way, I saw a video recently that basically says whenever you resize this, it like freaks out the computer behind the scenes. Every time you resize it, like the CPU is freaking out. The operating system kind of freaks out. Anyway, but we had to do that in this case. But yeah, so we got the Blender file, we got at the start, we got at the end, the animation. That's what all these little minus means is, these are what are called command line arguments. You're saying, I want to set the command line argument of the Blender file that we're opening to be this. I'm going to overwrite the start frame to be 1, which it probably is in the first place. I'm going to overwrite the ending frame to be 720, which it is in the file anyway. So technically I think these are not needed, but still useful to know about. And then -A, it basically tells it, do not open the thing, run it on the command prompt here. Okay. Now, like I said, this is not going to work because it's a 4.4 file, and I'm going to open this in 4.2. So if you see something like this, chances are you've made a mistake and you're running the wrong Blender. Okay. And like I said, it's still helpful to know what it is, what happens if you make a mistake. So we're going to change that back to 4.4. Again, up arrow allows us to revisit previous commands. So I hit up and then ran over to 4.4. And then if we hit this, it'll actually run. Baba booey. And I would ignore these warnings. I'm using the iCity add-on to make that city scene in there, and it looks like they might have like a circular dependency in there. That's what it means right here. They're most likely dependency loops. So basically, what that means is something A depends on B, B depends on C, and C depends back on A. So. And you know, this is not a dig at the iCity guys. The iCity people. They made a good product, and I use it. And the thing is, whenever you've got a big project, there are chances that you made a mistake, and it happens. So anyway, yeah. So the sample right here. This is the sort of thing you would see if you actually clicked animate in Blender. It would tell you how many samples it's doing, and there we go. It tells you the time that it took, and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's running. And what it's doing is it's populating this file right here. So if we watch the properties on this, it should tell us that it's a certain number of megabytes. And let's wait for it to run something else. Should only be a matter of a couple of seconds. And for some reason, when you're running it in batch mode, it'll go up to like 48 samples first, and then it'll do 16. Okay. Did the number of bytes, the number of megabytes, I don't think changed. Did the number of that's the blend file. DOI. Properties. Size 0 bytes. Okay. It's probably writing it to a temporary file, and then it's going to populate that in a bit. Yeah, for some reason it'll do like 48 samples, and then go in blocks of 16. Yeah. But this is how to run Blender in batch mode. And again, this is useful if your actual viewport in Blender like keeps crashing while you're trying to animate, and like you need to get something done and animated, and it just isn't working, it keeps crashing, then batch mode might be the answer for you. What else? Yeah, just the other thing is, like, you can set this running and have it run like over an entire thing overnight, and you can just like set it up, have it running. The viewport isn't open, so it's not actually actively rendering anything to the screen, which often saves some time on the overall rendering time. And I made a previous video that showed how to do it in batch mode, and like tricks to simplify the rendering time. But I want to do a standalone video just using it in batch mode, because most people aren't familiar with how to use things in command prompt. If you're in the Linux or Unix world, this is old hat. Like, almost everybody runs things from the command line, and they know how to do those command line prompts and stuff like that. So yeah, not a lot of people know how to do it using Windows, but every Windows has that command prompt that's sort of legacy from back in the 1980s, when everybody was just running MS-DOS and there was no such thing as Windows, or like the mouse or anything like that. So anyway, that's it for this video. I may come up with other videos over the summer. My day job is as a professor. However, I don't have any teaching duties over the summer, so I'm a little bit freer to actually have freer time to come up with some videos. Every year, apparently, I try to do a starter video set, and I get one video into it, and then I never come back to it, just because I get busy. So if I find any other pithy things that I might revisit that series. But if I ever come up with more pithy examples, I'll probably put them on my QIdx channel. But I am also trying to produce an animated series, and that's what all this footage is for over here. And that's what I'm actually doing, is I'm making stock footage. You can tell because it says stock footage right there in the file name. So it's stock footage for that animated series. I gotta put a lot of work into this, because I gotta get it out. It's been sitting on my list of things to do, and this year I was hoping to have this actually done before the semester started, the year started, and for whatever reason that didn't happen, and then the year picked up and I just could not get it out for the life of me. So anyway, that's about it for this video. Look forward to that animated series, and to any other future videos. If you have any things you want me to do to tackle, and if I know how to do it, then I'll try to help out. All right, signing off.